Hey there, hi there, ho there. It is Monday night, and that means it's time for...
Let's talk about...
I'm Jeremy, she's...
Kim.
And I'm Jeremy. And we're here every Monday night. Last Monday night, if you were tracking our progress, you would have heard us talk about... Sleep, which is such an important topic. And so tonight, we're going to follow that up with... Oh, I've got to wait for the sound effects.
Killing people. Let's talk
about killing people. No, let's talk about... Imagine, what's your worst nightmare? And don't say me.
When I was younger, I used to have this reoccurring nightmare that... because I was a swimmer, and I used to have this reoccurring nightmare that I'd dive in, and every time I'd put my arm over, I would literally do a somersault and a somersault and a somersault, and
Wow.
I really wasn't moving anywhere. And I had that dream for years. I also had a really bad dream about my grandma dying. I know I've told you this dream before, because I actually dreamt that my grandfather died, and he really did. And so I, as a young kid, felt like I had somehow manifested that.
Wow.
And then I kept having this dream about my grandma dying, and she lived in a house at Terrigal on the Central Coast, and my dad didn't drive because he's blind, and the only people that were there at the time were me, my sister, my dad, and my grandma, and she had died, and so she was dying in my dream. She hadn't died yet.
Just carrying a dead body.
And we had a car, and my grandma didn't drive either, so I don't even know why we had a car. But me and my sister had to drive the car because my dad couldn't see. So my sister was like pressing on the pedals, and I was steering the car.
Wow.
And we had to drive my grandma to the hospital or whatever. And so when my grandma actually moved out of that house, because I had that dream over and over and over, and especially when I stayed there, I used to go in at night and see whether she was breathing, because I used to have this dream constantly, and it was a real nightmare. Like, it was just so real and vivid as a child that that I used to think that I had this power of somehow killing people if they died in my dream. So
Wow.
it's pretty scary for a kid to
Nightmares are terrible. Do you want my worst nightmare?
yeah.
Okay, so I'm at the public swimming pool, the Harold Holt swimming pool. I'm on the diving board, the 10-metre diving board. Everyone's gathered around to see people, because that was the thing that you did in those days. Did you go to the public local
Well, our
pool?
pool didn't have a diving
So
pool.
we had
It
a
wasn't
diving,
big enough.
anyway, big round diving pool. Everyone would go, oh, they're going off the 10-metre board. Ooh, let's go and see. So everyone who was there just about was gathered around. I'm on the 10-metre board. You jump off. I actually dive off, and I go all the way to the bottom, and then I look up, and they're like silhouetted on is my bathers.
And you've lost your bathers.
And I've lost my bathers. And do you know what?
That's pretty scary
do
stuff.
do you know what the
Who knew that was coming?
Do you know what the worst
Tell
thing
us in
about
the
that
comments
nightmare was?
if you knew what it did actually happen. I haven't ever heard that story, but I just knew that was coming from you. Like,
I got a round of applause.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, Tegan, my youngest, she has a great deal of difficulty sleeping. I don't know, she just doesn't seem to get into that REM sleep, and often wakes up and comes down and hops into bed with me and tells me she's had a nightmare. So I'm big on oils for nightmares and oils for night terrors. The thing about having a nightmare, I mean, there's no cure, right? So it's not like we're sitting here saying, realistically, these oils are for nightmares.
Yeah.
What these oils do, like, because you remember essential oils help you to sleep, and they also help to calm your nervous system, and some essential oils can also help with anxiety. So if you watched us last week, you would have heard us talk about orange, okay? And so the orange wellness oil...
We can actually say this stuff, can't we? So
traditionally has been used in aromatherapy to induce sleep, to promote refreshing sleep and healthy sleep patterns, to reduce the time to fall asleep. But the other reason why orange is great for night terrors, apart from helping you sleep, is that it actually reduces symptoms and occurrence of mild anxiety, which is often the reason why children have night terrors and nightmares, is because their brain is so active and they're running through all the things that they're feeling anxious about or that they're fearful of, and they run through that. Their mind is processing it while they're asleep. And that's natural and normal for us to do that. But, often if they haven't fallen into that deep sleep, they can wake up and have the night terror. And that's where orange is a great oil.
Awesome.
So if you mix it with lavender before they go to sleep, you'll get that really calming, relaxing vibe, and orange is a must. Okay, so if you have children who suffer from night terrors, definitely orange in their diffuser, but mix it with some lavender so that they're going to fall asleep as well.
Another part of that, which we talked about briefly last week, is that idea of an evening routine, and when essential oils can just be part of that. I mean, like, even for your girls, what's the last thing that we do? You tuck them in, fill up the diffuser, put it on, and that's part of the whole nighttime routine, which also gives them a sense of security and relaxes them.
Another really good oil for night terrors and nightmares is actually Tangerine. And so in Peace and Calming, you've got orange and Tangerine. So it's a really, really good nighttime. Jeremy was talking about routines. Roll it on the bottoms of their feet, or you can pop some Peace and Calming in their diffuser, but definitely Peace and Calming. Another great oil that is good for, for sleep in general, but particularly if your child is suffering, even as an adult, if you have nightmares, okay, these oils are good. It's not just for children. And night terrors. I mean, there's nothing worse than waking up and feeling like you're falling, or, I often wake up and I have a go at Jeremy for something he's done to me in my dream. It feels so realistic, and I wake up and I'm angry because
I'm wondering why Kim's punching me in the head.
Because he's done something to me in my dream. But Roman chamomile, okay? Roman and German are pretty good, but Roman in particular. So you might hear me sometimes talk about chamomile, German for skin and Roman for calming. So, you can use both for calming and both for sleep. We're just reading Fiona's question. But particularly German chamomile if you want to use it for skin issues or unhappy skin, and Roman chamomile for calming. So that makes Tranquil a really good roller as well, because Tranquil and Roman chamomile, Tranquil contains lavender and Roman chamomile. So that's why, you get both of those in there.
The question
does
is
Peace and
dilution.
Calming need to be diluted for kids? Yes. It depends on the age of the children, definitely under 2s. And then from 2 to 12, I like to dilute very heavily for under 2s, like 1 drop in a tablespoon of carrier oil. So, 20 mils of carrier oil. But with, when they get older, you could probably do a couple of drops in a 10 ml roller. And also it helps the oils go further. So you're going to save more money as well by diluting it. Or you could pop just the Peace and Calming in the diffuser. So if you have a look in the Facebook groups, we've got pictures of dilution ratios for each age child, so you can check that out. Peace and Calming is a particularly mild oil, so it doesn't need diluting like some of the other oils like Thieves or things like that. Need really heavy dilution.
You get to know your kids too pretty quickly, don't you? And if they like it, they'll ask for it generally too, aren't they?
Yeah. And the last one I want to talk about is Sandalwood. Sandalwood is another oil that's really, really calming, helps slow stuff down. So that's why, obviously frankincense and sandalwood are used in yoga practice and meditation. Sandalwood is really, really good for calming the mind before bed. So, doing some kind of meditation. One thing that I really like to do, and we actually did this in our yoga practice the other day, last Thursday, is to take a drop of, sandalwood's really quite thick, so that's why it's taking a little while to drop out, because it's so cold here today.
It's one thing we have in common.
That you're so thick. I'm just going to touch it on my hand. Oh, no, it's going to come now. See? Just takes a while because it's really thick. So I should have put it in my bra. So you take your drop of sandalwood, energize it, okay? Then what we're going to do is warm it up, okay? This is a really cool exercise to do. And after you've warmed it up, cup it over your eyes. It just feels amazing.
Oh, should I
you get that? No, we haven't got time. We have to finish.
I'll do it later.
You'll have to do it later. But you can warm it up, and you can do it to your kids. You can actually give them a drop. They can warm up their hands and hold their hands over their eyes as well. So they're not only breathing it in, but they're getting all of that beautiful frequency from sandalwood. So there you go. There are our top oils. Orange, definite, has to be in there. And the others really just add to it.
And if your kids are driving you crazy, do that thing with the sandalwood. When they've got their hands over their eyes, run away.
I knew I was going to regret letting you finish. All right, see you next week. Bye,
Take care, guys, and sleep well.
And thank you, Fiona Little, for the idea.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you guys.